few years ago, Google made a decision and walked away from Snapdragon. And it was to make this, or rather, what was inside of it, the Tensor chip. Now, year after year, the Tensor chip has gotten better, but it's never matched what Snapdragon has. But overall, we in the community, thought it was still overall a good idea that Google made its own chip. And yes, it has gotten AI toys to play with. Some of them quite gimmicky, I would admit. But the launch of the Pixel 8 gave us the best reason for Google making their own chips. And now Pixel 8 users are going to get 7 years of support. So overall, despite the performance of Apple and Snapdragon being arguably superior in performance, Google's Tensor has got the job done. It could be better and more proficient, but year to year is getting better. And from Google's standpoint, their chips just need to be smarter. However, that's not what we're talking about. I may believe that Google is making a mistake with Qualcomm.
This is an incredible moment. Introducing Snapdragon X Elite, our most powerful, most advanced, and most intelligent platform for the modern AI PC.
Now this chip, there's several chips they have that are coming out, but this chip is specifically going into laptops, PC laptops. And I watched that production. And the entire time, I'm impressed and a little bit angry. Because if you watch that, and they're talking about the chip, they're talking about how this is going to make Windows more energy efficient because Qualcomm makes ARM-based chips, and how much this chip is going to be, or is great with AI. And they showcase some features. A lot of it look like what Google does, and I kept thinking, this would be so awesome. In fact, this was made for Chrome OS. And it's, as far as my research can conclude, there is no plans for this to come to any Chrome OS device. No Chromebooks are stated to have this Snapdragon Elite X. I keep wanting to say X Elite, but I think it's Elite X chip. Despite this thing rivaling Apple's chip. Now, they said that it outperforms the M2. Now, granted, this is before the M3 was announced, I believe, a few days afterwards. But who knows? The M3, this still may go against the M3 and do just fine. Without having the device in hand, no one can know for sure until they do those tests. But regardless, the fact that it's gotten anywhere close in the ballpark is an amazing feat. And as I'm watching it and I'm seeing how, they're told how powerful, efficient it is, and that it's going to make Windows, better, and it's going to, Windows is going to compete. And it's frustrating. Now, for those who are on Team Microsoft Windows, whatever, use the product you like. I believe that Chrome OS is just made for ARM, or the ARM is really what's the future of Chromebooks are. Now, we've had ARM chips, none particularly so powerful, but Chrome OS is really very integrated with Android, and that's how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. It was not long ago that we got Material U on our Chromebooks. if that's not just saying how close Android is to Chrome OS, the point is that an ARM-based chip would make so much sense. Now, for years, we, in our little Titan community, have been wanting another Pixelbook. And the talk was that this Pixelbook should have a Tesla chip, just like Apple has their M series chips in their Macs now. Google needs to put the Tesla chip into their Pixelbooks. They need to make a Pixelbook first, and then put their own chip inside. And we thought that would be awesome. And I thought that up until the Qualcomm Summit, because Qualcomm, at least on paper, until we get this device out in the field and actually get to run tests on it. But if it is true and they are delivering most of what they're promising, then they are trouncing on Google. Now, granted, it's not that Google said that Qualcomm can't put their chip in their laptops or in their Chromebooks now, as they discontinued the Pixelbook. Hopefully there will be one coming soon-ish, a couple years, but we were expecting one this year, and our hopes were crushed when actually could have been last year actually, when the Pixelbook team was disbanded. So maybe a couple of years from then, so maybe by next year or the year after that. But right now there is no rush, at least apparently, that Google is going to rush to make another laptop. But if you recall, in a few videos ago I made, where Chromebook Plus, first came on the market, or the new standard was released, and we got these slew of new Chromebooks that would represent the next level, the new standard that Google is implementing. One of the things that I found curious was that the processors, remember, there's a minimum. One of the minimums, or several of the minimums, were like, it needs to have 8 gigabytes of RAM. It needs to have at least 128 gigabytes of storage, 1080p webcam, as well as 1080 screen. And as far as the processor goes, it needed to be a 12th gen Core i3 or above, and a Ryzen 3 7000 series, I believe. And those are only two types of processors. No ARM chips. And I thought that was odd, because I believe that Chrome OS would just run so much better on an ARM-based chips. Now I kind of say, okay, fine, but the ARM-based chips that we have, like MediaTek or the other Snapdragon, maybe not be as powerful. Run fine, but they don't have that power. And maybe those chips lack the power to do the AI computing, the software that Google pushed on its Chromebook Plus devices. And I said, fine. But now, we apparently, at least coming on the market, have an ARM-based chip that seems to be more than qualified to be included in Chromebook and Chromebook Plus. And it's not, at least for right now, as I'm saying this. And if Google, granted, maybe it doesn't matter, because I see the list of vendors or OEMs that are signed up to get their hands on these chips, and the only two that I saw on there last I checked that have the possibility of putting that chip in a Chromebook is HP and Samsung. Samsung, of course, made the Samsung Galaxy Chromebooks. I made several of them. HP just made the Dragonfly Pro Elite and Dragonfly Pro Chromebook. As I'm looking, that there's no plans to have this thing put in a Chromebook chip, which is quite frustrating. I get it. they're going to make more money off Windows. I get it. Chrome OS is the second leading operating system, but Windows is top, and I respect that. They get first dibs. But we need this. Google needs this. Unless and this chip is stated to come out in next mid of 2024. And who knows when or if Google is going to come out with its own ARM processor to put inside the laptops. Or maybe they saw this and scrapped the idea. I have no clue. Unlike Windows, Chromebooks run a lot of Android apps. That's is one of its sources of applications is that it goes into the Android App Store. And those things are made to run primarily on ARM-based chips. And as powerful as Intel is, it is still an x86, processor. And it can work, and you use it, and a lot of apps work just fine, but not as good as on actual type of processor that it was actually designed for. Now, I'm a nerd, but I'm not so much of a nerd that I can understand all the technical specifications. Maybe this thing can't help Chrome OS or won't work with it, but after watching that summit talk about AI, which is Google's forte, and if Google doesn't at least make some attempt, either directly or indirectly with its partners, to at least get their hands on one of these chips, or make something that could at least match it, come somewhere near close, and Google faces a loss. And I'll hate to see that happen. Then Google will face a loss. Tell me what you guys think.
I didn't understand.
And that's the problem. I'll see you next time.